Hi everyone. To understand how to make the most out of stratnavapp.com, it's useful to understand how it came about in the first place. I've been helping businesses develop and execute strategies for a while now, about 25 years, and I realized lots of things, but I just want to focus on a few. Firstly, strategy entails pulling information and perspectives together from a wide variety of places. The wider, the better. Combining it and looking at it in new ways to extract actionable insights. And that ability to combine and link information is critical. Without it, strategy quickly devolves into a sort of last year plus 10% budgeting process. Secondly, there is a creative side to strategy, the so-called blue sky thinking. But what people often overlook is that it also requires a lot of discipline. It's fine having creative ideas, but it takes discipline to research them, turn them into practical applications, evaluate them, make tough choices and trade-offs, and then to follow through to execution. I have a colleague who says it's not hard, but it is hard work. And that's where I learned over the years to, as I put it, to trust in the process. If you have the right process and if you follow it with discipline, the results will follow pretty consistently. If you don't, you will probably always remain flapping around ineffectively, flitting from one shiny thing to the next. And both of those things require systems to do effectively. You can't approach them on an ad hoc basis and hope they just work out. But the tools people were using, Word, PowerPoint, Apple or Google's equivalents, and more latterly the online whiteboarding tools like Mural and Miro, don't provide any support with that. In fact, more often than not, they got in the way, leading to fragmented, vague, and often meaningless documents that basically sat around gathering dust or clogging up inboxes. In fact, the only thing they were good at was making documents look pretty. And whilst pretty is nice, it doesn't constitute good strategy. So stratnavapp.com's first job was to break all that information we use in doing strategy down into its different components, and then to understand and model the relationships between them. So stratnavapp.com knows what, for example, a customer segment or a product or a goal is. It knows what information you need to know about each of those things. And it knows how they relate to each other to create a strategy which is insightful and which drives action. Word and PowerPoint, etc., just can't do that. But once we'd built that, we quickly realized something else. Some of what we do is administrative, updating status reports, chasing down research, emailing stakeholders. And now that we had a system that understood what we were trying to do and the information we were doing it with, we could start automating some of that activity. And that left us more time to focus on the value add of coming up with and executing insightful strategies. And it enabled us to do that more quickly and more consistently. It often reminds me of accountants. Accountants don't do bookkeeping anymore. That's all been automated. As a result, their balance sheets always balance, their columns always total. They don't need to worry about that anymore, leaving them to focus on financial analysis, tax planning, and other higher value-add activities. And stratnavapp.com provides that same leverage for strategists. And so, when people ask me how to get the most out of the system, I usually start with 4 things. Firstly, yes, the tool is great in that it provides lots of useful frameworks which are super easy to use, to fill out and to share online. In that sense, it does what Word or PowerPoint does, only better. But the real value comes when you start digging down into the layers behind the models, clicking on the cards in your models, for example, and adding the required data and exploring the linkages between things. All of this forces you to think about things in a little more detail and relevant detail, letting the system help you to draw those out and turn them into actionable insights and plans. The second thing I encourage people to do is to explore the little automations and guidance that the system provides. And that really only requires keeping an eye on the cues on the screen, things around the models and frameworks, not just the models themselves. Trying them out and building them into your daily habits. Building them into your daily habits is perhaps a little hard, because that takes repetition and practice. But it quickly pays off in terms of personal effectiveness. Again, thinking about accounting software, it does take a little time to get used to the software, but once you do, it can do so much of the heavy lifting for you. The third thing that I encourage people to do is to use the system to plan and manage your work. There are lots of to-do lists and planners available, but none of them link to your strategy. And so all they do is leave you with lots of things to do and no help in ensuring that the things that you do are really strategically important. So whatever part of your strategy you're working with, you can create actions, set due dates, and assign responsibilities linked to the relevant parts of your strategy. The system will help you manage those with alerts and various other things right there in your strategy, helping you to get things done more efficiently and more collaboratively. You can also plan your meeting agendas and capture meeting outcomes, again, linked to the relevant parts of your strategy, right there in the app. And that's why I say stratnavapp.com is a living strategy, not a dead strategy document. It will actively help you to develop and execute strategy. It also means you'll never be left hunting for the records from that meeting or that email where you talked about a key part of your strategy. Finally, I recommend that everyone use the strategy scorecard. It's probably the area of strategy that most people struggle most with, but it's only by tracking outcomes that you will ever really know if all the effort you've put into your strategy is working or not. And because the system will ask you to update the KPIs on your scorecard on a regular basis, it keeps you focused on what's really important in your business on a sustained basis. So it really is worth putting in the effort here, and the sooner you start, the better. I hope that helps you to understand a little bit more about why stratnavapp.com is the way it is, and how to get the most out of it.